self-expression, because that's what I do, and this is all selfishly for me. Experiencing and having a desire to express newfound understanding and clarity around the experience of contrast, that finding that balance point, right? Finding that balance point where we are accepting the contrast, we're not rejecting it, contrast being something that could be defined as unwanted, could be defined as unpleasant. It's contrast. And so not rejecting, not running from that experience, embracing it, but similarly not attaching to it, not becoming over-invested in the experience of the contrast, not holding on to it, not hanging around in it, neither resisting nor attaching. That balanced place in between is where all the power is. And so, having had this recent experience assisting me with not just the sharpening of focus and desire, but the clarification of my understanding of this process, which is a part of desire. It's a strong desire that is within me, is understanding how this works and how, as divine deliberate creators, we navigate our way through this. So there's the broader lesson and the incredible benefit of that. And it seems from my perspective, from this perspective, that a lot of the confusion or the slowdown, the slog, the holdup in the experiencing of the contrast and letting it serve us in the way that we intend for it to, comes from the personification of it, which is ego's role and its natural tendency. It's what claims something as mine. It is what creates the narrative of my story, my pain, this happened to me, this hurts me, as opposed to pain, just purely pain, purely contrast, purely there has been an experience of pain, and it's not mine. I don't need to make it personal. It's ego's proclivity for personalizing it that then makes it feel like there is an insult, there is a threat, and therefore a need to stand up against, to create the opposition, to make another wrong so that we can be right. Because if it's an offense to me, then it feels like there's something I need to do about it. There's a diminishment of me. But when the me aspect is removed, it's just pure. It's just a pure vibration. It's just a pure experience. It's just pain. This is pain. I have no sense of needing to wage war against it, and I have no sense of needing to hang around in it, to revisit it so much. And I can witness from this space how it's just ego that does those things. The contrast is there to be contrast. It's there to be painful. It is. It's not about pretending the pain isn't pain. It's an acceptance of it, but again, not an attachment to it either. Not making it into my pain, into weaving it into some other narrative, but letting it remain pure, letting it just be contrast. In effect, whatever situation it is the same as touching a hot stove. You touched the hot stove, ouch, you got burned. You can make that personal by saying the stove burned me, and this is my burn, and now I feel a wound and I feel attacked, right? I feel personally attacked by this stove. And then perhaps you have this sort of impulse to wage war against stoves. Watch out for stoves, man. Those stoves, they'll get you. They're malicious, they're nasty. You know, we should have warnings about stoves posted up all over the place, because there's a possibility for them to burn you. Or you might be tempted into revisiting that pain, again calling it your pain, and going, gosh, remember how much it hurt when I touched that stove, when that stove touched me, when my hand experienced pain, and continually kind of reliving the trauma of the moment. Or the third option being the rejection of it, right? That didn't hurt. Oh no, it didn't hurt. I'm pretending there wasn't pain there. The pain is somehow inappropriate. I could be judged for it, so let me just keep touching the stove and smiling and saying this is fine. All of those reactions are guided by ego, and it feels at the core related to ego's personalization of the experience, of somehow, you know, this is my pain, it belongs to me, and then it feels like a burden, it feels like something that needs to be corrected somehow. But if we let the experience be purely what it is, touched the stove, felt pain, learned hot stove burn hand, maybe just carry that forward and don't touch the hot stove, or next time you're not sure if it's hot, you test it with some water. It doesn't have to be personal. It's not an insult to you. It's not your pain. It's just pain. There was heat there. The contact of your delicate fleshy skin against that surface burned, created the sensation of pain. What good information that is to have. That's good information. Let it be purely that. Rather than it being my pain, and now there's this sense of sort of dwelling in and on my pain. It's just pain. It's just information. It's just data. It's just an experience. It's not pain that belongs to me. And when it doesn't belong to me, I don't belong to it. And then there's not a rejection of it, but there's not an attachment to it. It just is. There is pain in this present moment. There is pain. And it's just a part of what is manifesting now. It is no threat to me. I am not seeking to control it, to judge it, and therefore it has no power, none of those powers over me. And I can recognize and acknowledge it is ego attempting to latch onto, to somehow identify itself with the pain. That is what perpetuates the contrast and the experience of it. And it is really the separation of energy from myself by getting lost in the mental concept of me and mine that feels so unpleasant, that feels so disempowered. It's not the experience of the pain, it's the personalization of the pain that feels disempowering and diminishing. And when I stop personalizing the pain and stop identifying through ego or as ego, in fact, it's not even my ego, it's just ego. When I take that step back, I am back in power and I feel empowered again. Nothing has changed. The experience is the experience, but I am back in my power because of my disidentifying, dissociating, depersonalizing the pain and ego's mental construction around it as well. And so that feels to me like a powerful lesson in how to navigate energetically through life experience, of letting contrast be contrast, letting it serve us, taking the bounce of it, but not hanging around in it. Not just sticking in the contrast, letting it be what it is and letting it lift us, letting it sharpen and redirect our focus, ouch, this hurts, this increases my desire and clarity to focus the other direction because this doesn't feel good. What a good thing that is. Letting that natural process take place where we experience, there's the intensity of focus on the contrast, there's the realization of the pain of that creates this new desire to focus in the other direction, to focus towards the desire. It adds to the clarity and the detail of that desire. We then step into the place of diffused focus on the contrast. It's not gone, it's just diffused. We've stepped back. It's no longer taking up the whole picture, the whole frame. Now, included in that frame is the benefit, is the desire, is the other side of that stick, as Abraham says. And so now we have a bigger picture that is not quite a sharp focus on either side. It's not sharpened contrast, it's not sharpened desire, it's just in between. Now we can hold both in frame at once. And then we can allow that again to increase our focus. Now we can shift further towards the desire and appreciate the sharpening of focus on the desire and receiving the increased detail and clarity that we are now witnessing there. It's this gentle, gradual, natural process that occurs from the direct experience of contrast, the focus on the contrast, the pain of that, stepping back into the place of this is this is pain, this hurts, this is pushing me in a different direction. It's not my pain, it's just pain. How is this pain serving me? Having the awareness, the consciousness, the presence to say, what is this pain telling me? I'm not telling it to go away. I'm just asking for the bigger picture. I know that there is a bigger picture here, so let me step back, diffuse my focus on the pain, include the pleasure that I know is increasing as a result of this, automatically. And now, having both, I can choose deliberately, and I am feeling more and more empowered in being present and making a conscious, deliberate decision and sharpening my focus as the deliberate creator that I am. This is my power of perspective and the deliberate direction of it. Now I am choosing to direct my focus upon the desire. And it's not even personal either. It's pure. It's just desire. It's not something I am perceiving as belonging to me. It has no threat, it has no counter. It's just pure desire that is increased by this experience of pure pain. Now I am focused on the pure desire. I am feeling, I am receiving the greater detail and information about that. That feels good. I am intentionally dwelling in this place of desire and basking in it. And now I have moved all the way across the spectrum from excruciating pain to pleasure. And not by forcing, by allowing. And that seemed quite powerful and important to me. And it is a very satisfying thing to allow this experience, not just to clarify the desire that seems related to the experience, but to clarify my desire and understanding of how this process works, how we move from A to B, how we move from contrast to the desire naturally, with a natural flow, and how we practice that and get better at that. This is our superpower, the power of perspective, the power of focus, and the power of allowance, the power of surrender, of not forcing anything one way or the other, simply allowing it to naturally guide us down this course, to be swept in by allowing all along the way. And so again, it seems to me an important piece to acknowledge how it feels like the personalization of ego is what throws a wrench in the natural progression of this. And if there is awareness introduced of the personalization and continually stepping that back, depersonalizing it, and inviting the experience to be purely an experience, the emotion to be purely the emotion, that seems powerfully beneficial. And I am incredibly grateful for the experience of clarification on that, because that is a much bigger desire that is being added to. So that's just what I want to express. Yeah, have a beautiful day.